What do you know about Iranian President Ebrahim Raisolsadati, and a brief about his life from birth to death. Ebrahim Raisolsadati. Part 1. Better known as Ebrahim Raisi, was an Iranian politician who served as the 8th president of Iran from 2021 until his death in a helicopter crash in 2024. He was a Muslim jurist and part of the Principalist group. Raisi was the son-in-law of Mashhad Friday prayer leader and Grand Imam of Imam Riza Shrine, Ahmed al-Hoda. He began his clerical studies at age 15. In the aftermath of the 1979 Iranian Revolution, Raisi served in several positions in Iran's judicial system, including as prosecutor of Karaj, prosecutor of Hamadan, and deputy prosecutor and prosecutor of Tehran. Raisi played role on the Tehran branch of what has been called the 1988 Iran Death Commission. Under the direction of Grand Ayatollah Khomeini, several Iranian political prisoners were executed by these local death commissions, and as a result of his work on the Tehran Commission, Raisi earned himself the nickname Butcher of Tehran. In 1988, the United Nations Special Rapporteurs and other organizations accused him of crimes against humanity for his role in these executions. He was Deputy Chief Justice, Attorney General, and Chief Justice. Raisi was elected to the Assembly of Experts from South Khorasan Province for the first time in the 2006 election. He was custodian and chairman of Istanquds Razavi, Abani, from 2016 until 2019. Raisi ran for president in 2017 as the candidate of the Conservative Popular Front of Islamic Revolution Forces, losing to the moderate incumbent President Hassan Rouhani, 57% to 38%. Raisi successfully ran for president a second time in 2021 with 63% of the votes, succeeding Rouhani. Considered a hardliner in Iranian politics, Raisi's presidency saw deadlock in negotiations with the U.S. over the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and large-scale protests throughout the country in late 2022, triggered by the death of Mahsa Amini on the 16th of September. During Raisi's term, Iran intensified uranium enrichment, hindered international inspections, joined SCO and BRICS, and supported Russia in its invasion of Ukraine. Iran also launched a missile and drone attack on Israel during the Gaza conflict, and continued arming proxy groups like Hezbollah and the Houthi movement. Ebrahim Raisi was born on the 14th of December 1960 to a clerical family in the Nagin district of Mashhad. His father, Said Haji, died when he was 5. Raisi passed his primary education in Javadieh school and then started studying in the Hausa. In 1975, he went to Ayatollah Baroujerdi School to continue his education in Qom Seminary. He has claimed to have received a doctorate degree in private law from Motihari University. However, this has been disputed. Raisi began his studies at the Qom Seminary at the age of 15. He then decided to study in the Nawab School for a short time. After that, he went to Ayatollah Sayyid Muhammad Mousavi Nejad School, where he studied while also teaching other students. In 1976, he went to Qom to continue his studies at the Ayatollah Baroujerdi School. He was a student of Sayyid Hossein Baroujerdi, Mortaza Motahari, Abolghasem Khazali, Hossein Nouri Hamdani, Ali Mishkini, and Mortaza Pasandide. Raisi also passed his Kharaj Fiqh to Sayyid Ali Khamenei and Mujtaba Tehrani. According to Alex Vatanka of the Middle East Institute, Raisi's exact religious qualification is a sore point. For a while before investigation by the Iranian media, he referred to himself as Ayatollah on his website. However, according to Vatanka, the media publicized his lack of formal religious education and credentials, after which Raisi ceased claiming to hold the aforementioned rank. After this investigation and criticism, he referred to himself as Hajat al-Islam, a clerical rank immediately beneath that of Ayatollah. Raisi subsequently again declared himself an Ayatollah shortly before the 2021 presidential election. The decree by Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei appointing him as president referred to him as a Hajat al-Islam. In 1981, he was appointed the prosecutor of Karaj. Later on, he was also appointed prosecutor of Hamadan and served both positions together. He was simultaneously active in 2 cities more than 300 kilometers away from each other. After 4 months, he was appointed prosecutor of Hamadan province. He was appointed deputy prosecutor of Tehran in 1985 and moved to the capital. After 3 years and in early 1988, he was placed in the attention of Ruhollah Khomeini and received special provisions from him to address legal issues in some provinces like Lorestan, Semnan, and Kermanshah. Main articles: 1988 Executions of Iranian Political Prisoners and Trial of Hamid Nuri. As Deputy Prosecutor General of Tehran, Raisi was a member of Tehran's Death Commission during the 1988 executions of Iranian political prisoners. Raisi's involvement in the executions gained publicity in 2016, when Hossein Ali Montazeri released an audio recording of an August 1988 meeting of the Tehran Death Committee. In a 2018 lecture as Iran's president, Raisi did not deny his presence at the 1988 meeting. According to the human rights organization Amnesty International, during the lecture Raisi regarding the killings as one of the proud achievements of the system. For his role, Raisi earned a reputation of being a hanging judge and was nicknamed the Butcher of Tehran. Other persons were Mortaza Ashraghi, Hassan Ali Nayeri, and Mostafa Pourmohammadi. Names of the first two persons are mentioned in Khomeini's order. Pourmohammadi has denied his role, but Raisi did not comment publicly on the matter. Due to the involvement of this prosecution committee in thousands of executions, it has been informally called the Death Committee. The 1988 executions of Iranian political prisoners were a series of state-sponsored executions of political prisoners across Iran, starting on the 19th of July 1988 and lasting for approximately 5 months. The majority of those killed were supporters of the People's Mujahideen of Iran, although supporters of other leftist factions, including the Fedayeen and the Tudeh Party of Iran, were executed as well. According to Amnesty International, thousands of political dissidents were systematically subjected to enforced disappearance in Iranian detention facilities across the country and extrajudicially executed pursuant to an order issued by the supreme leader of Iran and implemented across prisons in the country. Many of those killed during this time were subjected to torture and other cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment in the process. Because of the large number, prisoners were loaded into forklift trucks in groups of 6 and hanged from cranes in half-hour intervals. The killings have been described as a political purge without precedent in modern Iranian history, both in terms of scope and cover-up. However, the exact number of prisoners executed remains unknown, with several sources giving estimates. Amnesty International, after interviewing dozens of relatives, put the number in thousands. And then Supreme Leader Ruhollah Khomeini's deputy, Hassan Ali Montazeri, put the number between 2,800 and 3,800 in his memoirs. Human Rights Watch puts the estimate at between 2,800 to 5,000 people. Amnesty describes the state's refusal to provide families with the location of the mass graves of their loved ones as ongoing crimes against humanity. After Khomeini's death and election of Ali Khamenei as the new supreme leader, Raisi was appointed Tehran prosecutor by newly appointed Chief Justice Mohammad Yazdi. He held the office for 5 years from 1989 to 1994. In 1994, he was appointed head of General Inspection Office. From 2004 until 2014, Raisi served as first Deputy Chief Justice of Iran, being appointed by Chief Justice Mahmoud Hashemi Sharaudi. He kept his position in Sadiq Larijani's first term as Chief Justice. He was later appointed Attorney General of Iran in 2014, a position that he held until 2016, when he resigned to become chairman of Istanquds Razavi. Raisi was a member of the Board of Trustees of Execution of Imam Khomeini's order for 10 years by order of Sayyid Ali Khamenei. He was also a member of the Supreme Selection Board. He was the founder of Fatme al-Zahra Seminary and the first secretary of the headquarters for reviving the enjoining good and forbidding wrong in the country. He was appointed the prosecutor of Hamdan province and was active there for 3 years since 1982 to 1984. His other executive and oversight responsibilities include the positions such as membership in the Supreme Council of Cyberspace, the Monetary and Credit Council, and the Anti-Corruption Headquarters. He became chairman of Istanquds Razavi on the 7th of March 2016 after the death of his predecessor Abbas Viz Tabasi, a position which he stayed in until 2019. He was the second person to serve this office from 1979. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei enumerated serving the pilgrims of the Holy Shrine, especially poor people, and also serving nearby, especially the poor and dispossessed, as 2 important responsibilities of Raisi in his appointment order. Raisi was named as one of the Popular Front of Islamic Revolution Forces' presidential candidates in February 2017. His candidacy was also supported by the Front of Islamic Revolution Stability. He officially announced his nomination in a statement published on the 6th of April and called it his religious and revolutionary responsibility to run, citing the need for a fundamental change in the executive management of the country and a government that fights poverty and corruption. He registered on the 14th of April 2017 at the Ministry of Interior, saying it's time to perform citizenship rights, not only writing act. On the 15th of May 2017, conservative candidate Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf withdrew his candidacy in favor of Raisi. It was speculated that Ghalibaf would be Raisi's first vice president if he was elected. They also joined in a campaign rally in Tehran with each other. After the election results were announced, Raisi received 15,786,449 out of 42,382,390. He lost to incumbent President Rouhani and ranked second. He did not congratulate Rouhani on his re-election as the president and asked the Guardian Council to look into violations of the law before and during the elections, with 100 pages of attached documentation. In 2021, Raisi ran again for the presidency and won the election. The election had a 48.8% turnout, and 63% went to Raisi. Out of 28.9 million votes, around 3.7 million votes were not counted, likely because they were blank or otherwise invalid protest votes. According to many observers, the 2021 Iranian presidential election was rigged in favor of Raisi. Almost 600 candidates, 40 of which were female, registered in the election, of which 7 men were approved a month before the election by the 12 jurists and theologians on the Guardian Council. 3 of those 7 candidates were subsequently pulled out before polling day. Before he withdrew, reformist candidate Mohsen Mehrilizadeh hinted that the vote would be a foregone conclusion, saying during a candidate TV debate that the ruling clerics had aligned sun, moon, and the heavens to make one particular person the president, according to The Economist. Former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, among those barred from running, said in a video message that he would not vote, declaring, "I do not want to have a part in this sin." Raisi was appointed the president of Iran on the 3rd of August 2021 through a decree issued by the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. During his inauguration speech, Raisi stated that his government would seek to lift the sanctions on Iran imposed by the United States, but added that it would not let foreigners dictate how its economy is run. He was sworn in before the Islamic Consultative Assembly on the 5th of August during a ceremony attended by around 260 officials, both from Iran and other countries. In his speech, he stated that Iran was responsible for stabilizing the Middle East, that he would resist foreign pressure on Iran but widen its external relations, especially with Iran's neighbors, promised to support any diplomatic move to lift the American sanctions, and assured that Iran's nuclear program was only meant for peaceful purposes. He also promised that he would try to improve the quality of life for Iranians and defend human rights. Raisi appointed Mohammad Mukbar, the head of the execution of Imam Khomeini's Order Foundation, as the first vice president of Iran on the 8th of August. Ghulam Hassan Esmaili, a former spokesman for the judiciary, was also appointed Raisi's chief of staff. On the 11th of August, Raisi appointed former Minister of Petroleum and Minister of Commerce Masoud Mir Kazmi as a vice president and head of the Plan and Budget Organization. He also presented nominations for his cabinet before the Islamic Consultative Assembly on the same day. Raisi's nomination of Ahmad Vahidi as Minister of Interior among his cabinet nominations was quickly strongly condemned by both Argentina and Israel, with the former having requested his arrest through a red notice of Interpol for his alleged involvement in the 1994 AMIA bombing in Buenos Aires. The Argentine Foreign Ministry stated that Vahidi's designation was an affront to the Argentine justice and the victims of the terrorist attack. On the 20th of August, Raisi appointed former Minister of Culture Mohammad Hosseini as Vice President for Parliamentary Affairs. 18 out of 19 of his cabinet picks were approved by the Islamic Consultative Assembly on the 25th of August, except Hossein Baggali, whom Raisi had chosen as the Minister of Education. Many of the ministerial choices are sanctioned by the United States and several are veterans of the Islamic Republic of Iran Armed Forces. Raisi meanwhile appointed former IRGC Commander-in-Chief Mohsen Razi as the Vice President for Economic Affairs on the 25th of August. He also appointed him as the Secretary of the Supreme Council for Economic Coordination, as well as the Secretary of the Iranian government's Economic Committee. On the 26th of August, Iran had a renewed diplomatic clash with Argentina when the latter condemned the appointment of Razi. Razi is also wanted by Argentina for alleged involvement in the AMIA bombing. Argentina energetically condemned his designation and added that Iran must cooperate with the investigation, and added again that Razi's designation was another affront to the Argentine justice. On the 1st of September, Raisi appointed former president of Al-Azhar University in Sikazali as Vice President for Women and Family Affairs and Mohammad Dagan as Vice President for Legal Affairs. On the 4th of September, he stated that Iran would resume talks over its nuclear program, which have been stalled since his election victory, but not under pressure from Western countries. On the 5th of September, Raisi appointed Maysam Latifi, former Dean of Islamic Education and Management at Imam Sadiq University, as a Vice President and head of the Administrative and Recruitment Affairs Organization, while Solat Mortazavi was appointed Vice President for Executive Affairs and head of the Presidential Administration. In addition, former head of Management and Planning Organization Farhad Rabar was appointed the President's Assistant for Economic Affairs. Amir Hassan Ghazizadeh Hashemi was appointed a Vice President and the head of the Foundation of Martyrs and Veterans Affairs on the 12th of September. Importation of COVID-19 vaccine meanwhile surged since Raisi took office, with over 30 million doses being imported during the Iranian month of Shahrivar, more than the vaccine imports since February 2021, while 13.4 million were imported during the month of Mordad in which Raisi was sworn in. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced the importation of 60 million more vaccines on the 19th of September. In a pre-recorded speech before the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly on the 21st of September, Raisi stated that Iran wanted to resume talks over its nuclear program. He also stated that the hegemony of the United States was being rejected across the world and criticized its sanctions on Iran as unjust. On the 17th of September, protests erupted after the death of Mahsa Amini, and unrest spread all over the country. President Raisi promised to set up a commission to investigate the murder, but this did not affect the protests, as law enforcement agencies are allegedly retreating from small cities due to uncontrollable rioting. I stop at this point today. Soon we will publish Part 2. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the world's incredible stories. Thank you for watching. I hope I added something to you.